By the time the HOA Saboteur did a full body dive into the compost pit, any lingering guilt had evaporated, and I begun taking field notes. From a security monitor glowing in my kitchen, I watched yet another shadowy figure in a black hoodie shimmy under my fence, creep toward my allegedly unauthorized tomato row, and instantly tripped the wire that dumped 40 gallons of reclaimed rainwater mixed with premium chicken poop tea. They hit the ground shrieking, soaked and sliding through the mud straight into the motion-activated sprinklers. Through the camera mic, I could make out one word being screamed again and again. HOA! 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 I froze the feed and zoomed in. Stamped across the hoodie was Pine Ridge Meadows Covenant Protector. I grabbed my notebook and wrote, 11:42 p.m., HOA sends goons. Traps functioning. 0 casualties. Regrettably, I had moved to Pine Ridge Meadows for peace, quiet mornings, remote work, black coffee, silent weekends, and a yard filled with vegetables and chickens. I wasn't a doomsday prepper. I simply wanted heirloom carrots and freedom from conversations about community synergy. Unfortunately, Pine Ridge came bundled with an HOA, and the HOA came bundled with Denise Carroll. Denise was the president, self-proclaimed defender of property values, and reigning monarch of hostile Facebook posts. She wore power cardigans in 92-degree heat and treated the bylaws like sacred scripture. I tried civility at first. I painted my mailbox parchment beige, hid the trash cans, even attended one single HOA meeting, during which Denise delivered a 35-minute sermon about how wind chimes were a gateway nuisance. Peace lasted until I assembled 3 raised garden beds and a tiny chicken coop. The next morning, a letter was taped to my door. Dear Mr. Briggs, your property now exhibits agricultural blight and unapproved livestock. This violates Sections 4.3 for .7 for .8 and Section 14 General Vibe. Remove immediately or incur escalating fines. Respectfully, Denise Carroll, HOA President. I read it, glanced at my 3 extremely relaxed chickens, and went out to buy more lumber. The war began with drizzle. First came the courtesy notices. My compost bin was unsightly. My rain barrels were industrial. Denise emailed the entire neighborhood with subject lines like concern. Farm-like activity threatens community brand. Each notice came with a fine. I replied with screenshots of the covenants, which said nothing about gardens, and politely reminded her that half the neighborhood displayed lawn gnomes, which were explicitly banned. Then came the surveillance. Denise strolled past my house twice daily, phone raised, recording everything. Neighbors I'd never seen grew suspiciously bold. One man warned, Denise says you're running commercial farm. A woman stage whispered, I heard you're adding pigs. And then sabotage began. My coop door mysteriously unlatched, twice. 2 tomato plants snapped clean at the stem. A trail of dog kibble appeared along my fence where coyotes roamed. I installed a fully legal web of cameras, marked every property line with survey flags, and added motion-triggered lights. After the 3rd strange incident, I opened my notebook and wrote, Phase 2, harmless countermeasures. Annoying, humiliating, nothing illegal, just educational. The real shift arrived on a Tuesday with a fat certified letter. Inside was a final notice of compliance failure, signed by the entire board, declaring that Mr. Briggs is operating a commercial agricultural enterprise. I had 7 days to cease operations or face lien proceedings. Buried deep inside the packet was something worse, a formal complaint to county code enforcement claiming my farm was unsanitary and that animal waste might be entering storm drains. Signed solely by Denise. Okay, I muttered to my chickens. We have left petty. We have entered felony. My sister Alyssa was an environmental attorney. I forwarded her every document. An hour later, she called me, barely breathing from laughter. They just accused you of environmental contamination to a county agency with 0 evidence, she said. If they've been sneaking onto your property, that's trespassing. If they broke anything, that's vandalism. And if they're pressuring the county with fabricated claims, that's a problem. Big problem? I asked. Big enough that they'll wish they stuck to complaining about mailbox fonts. Alyssa told me exactly what to record. So when the saboteurs returned at night in their matching black hoodies, I was more than prepared, with traps fully lawyer-proof for maximum humiliation and crystal-clear video evidence. The traps weren't dangerous, just engineered for peak embarrassment. Low-tension trip wires that triggered waterfalls of compost tea, motion sensors that blasted floodlights and shouted, "You are currently trespassing. Law enforcement has been notified." Hidden speakers that played ferocious dog sounds, despite me owning 0 dogs. Cameras covering every inch. Night 1 of Operation HOA Olympics was a gold medal performance. 3 figures sneaked under my fence. Saboteur 1 slid across the mud. Saboteur 2 hit the tripwire and got baptized in compost slurry. Saboteur 3 tried sprinting away and activated a loudspeaker. "You are currently trespassing. Please smile for the cameras." They panicked, scrambled, fell again, and fled, dropping a trash bag filled with broken eggs and store-bought chicken feed, clearly intended to fabricate a hell violation. I logged everything meticulously. By night 3, they escalated and brought bolt cutters. I called the sheriff instantly. "Hi, I have live footage of 3 individuals cutting my fence and trespassing. I believe they're linked to my HOA based on their attire. I've emailed you the live feed." A deputy arrived fast. He caught them mid-sprint, one still dripping with compost tea. They were marched straight to my front porch. That's when I saw their faces. HOA board member Todd Renner, HOA Secretary Linda Graves, and Denise Carroll herself speckled in brown water. The deputy asked what exactly they were doing on my property with bolt cutters. Denise launched into an impassioned monologue about community standards and covenants, insisting she had the authority to enter any lot for inspection, waving her laminated bylaws like a royal decree. The deputy skimmed it and said, "Ma'am, this is not the Constitution." He explained that HOA rules do not supersede criminal law, and that cutting fences and entering private property at night is not inspection. It is trespassing and attempted vandalism. On video, I handed the deputy a USB drive with neatly organized folders. Previous incidents. Tonight's footage. HOA complaint to the county. Audio Denise declaring, "If he won't cooperate, we will make his little farm fail." The deputy's eyebrows shot up. "Did you record our meeting?" Denise barked. "No," I said. "The HOA did. You emailed it to everyone." The deputy actually laughed. The fallout exploded over the next week. County Code Enforcement inspected my property and found nothing wrong. They closed the case, noting the original complaint appeared exaggerated. Alyssa sent a formal letter outlining the board's potential civil and criminal liability. 2 board members resigned. Residents began posting on Facebook. "Wait, they broke into his yard? Those are just carrots." Denise called an emergency HOA meeting. Half the neighborhood attended. Alyssa came too. The meeting was held in the clubhouse under harsh fluorescent lights. Denise sat poised to regain control, but never got the chance. The moment she began with, "As your president, Alyssa stood. "Before you continue, I'd like to show a brief video." She plugged in a USB drive. Up on the screen, Denise, Todd, and Linda in black hoodies climbing my fence. The compost waterfall. The screaming. The deputy arriving. Someone in the back snorted from laughing. Alyssa played it twice, then passed out summaries of potential liability. The board's lawyer rubbed his temples like he felt every incoming lawsuit in his soul. By the end, the board voted to remove Denise as president. They suspended all enforcement actions against my garden and chickens. They amended the covenants to allow non-commercial gardens and up to 6 hens. The county opened an investigation into the false complaint. I accepted a written apology and a signed agreement that they would never step foot on my property again. I also required Denise to deliver a letter to every home stating my property was in full compliance. She did it, jaw clenched, cardigan immaculate, humiliation complete. 3 months later, the district attorney notified me that Denise Carroll had been charged with 2 counts of criminal trespass, 1 count of attempted vandalism, and 1 count of filing a false government report. The trespass charges carried up to 6 months each. The false report carried up to a year. Her attorney negotiated a plea deal. Denise pled guilty to 2 misdemeanors, paid a $5,000 fine, was sentenced to 120 hours of community service, and placed on 2 years of probation. When I heard the news, I was harvesting tomatoes. I looked at my chickens and grinned. Denise Carroll had gone from HOA president to convicted criminal in 4 months, all because she couldn't handle the sight of 3 hens and a vegetable patch.